apron sleeves, white stockings and gloves, and matching peach-beaded slippers completed her ensemble. She looked quite proper on the outside, even if she was seething with frustration on the inside. Thea lifted her chin. Pity I couldn't dress as a man and attend that auction. I swear I would have won. Maggie sharply sucked in her breath and shook her head. Oh, please, don't say such things. Why, I'd have a fit if I had to dress you as a man. I'm a lady's maid, not a valet, she chuckled. Thea smiled and lifted her shoulders while heaving a loud sigh. Very well. I suppose this will have to do. Thank you for your help today, Mag. Wish me luck with father. You're quite welcome, Maggie replied, and I wish you all the luck in the world. I may need it. Thea swept her skirts into her hands, turned, and marched out the door of her bedchamber. Her destination was her father's study. Father wasn't often home. The Earl of Blackstone tended to spend most of his time in London, with his mistress. Thea pushed the thought from her mind. It only served to anger her. Father was home this time of year because he came to visit the estate and see to the planning of their annual Christmastide ball. No doubt he'd be back to London as soon as he'd spoken to the housekeeper and butler. But for now, Thea had the perfect opportunity to ask her father about the horse auction. It was his fault the horse was at auction, after all. She made her way through the wide upstairs corridor, then down the sweeping marble staircase that led to the foyer of her father's country house. Once downstairs, Thea continued through the foyer to another corridor that led to the far western edge of the estate where her father's study sat. When she approached, the door to the study was open just a crack. Father liked to call at passers-by upon occasion. Today, Theodora stuck her nose in the crack and blinked at the middle-aged man sitting behind the desk. Her father was tall and handsome, with a tinge of grey at the temples. Thea took after him in looks, as her mother had always said. Thea certainly had inherited his dark hair and grey eyes. She hadn't taken after him in temperament, however. Perhaps that was why they'd rarely agreed upon anything. I see you, miss. Her father's voice floated from the room, and I'm quite certain I know why you've come. Thea interpreted the comment for an invitation to enter the room. She pushed the door wide and strolled inside. Good morning, father, she said in her most pleasant tone. She and her father had never quite been on what one would call friendly terms. He'd been gone to London much of her childhood, and just before her mother died, Thea had learned precisely what he'd been doing in London all those years. He was much more like a well-dressed stranger than a father to her, but at times she was forced to speak to him, and today was one of those times. She always strove to keep their interactions civil and quick. Her father frowned. I've been expecting your visit. Anthony returned last night and told me he lost the auction in London. Thea marched over to stand in front of her father's wide mahogany desk. That is precisely why I'm here, she allowed. The Arabian was my horse. Her father's frown intensified. The Arabian was expensive, Theodora. You've no idea how much that horse ended up selling for. Thea pressed her lips together. He'd called her Theodora. That just went to show how little her father knew her. He always called her Theodora. No one called her Theodora. Her mother and Anthony and Maggie, and everyone called her Thea. As for what father had said to her about the horse's price, she wanted to reply, then perhaps you should never have sold him to begin with, so we wouldn't have to purchase him again. Instead, she said, I told Anthony to use my dowry if necessary. The horse couldn't possibly have cost more than that, she replied in as calm a voice as she could muster, while utter frustration coursed through her veins.